All right, let's get rolling. I know there's a lot of you guys that have work to do, and I appreciate all you being here. So, good day. I want to thank Stacy Dawn for putting this on. I'm very grateful to her and the Clear Lake Chamber and to all of you that have joined. And I saw in the registration there's a lot of who's who from all over the place. So, welcome. And I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm doing this. So, my name is Andy O'Brien, and I have been in business here for about 9 years. But if you back up, you know, almost 20 years ago, I grew up in a family-owned and operated moving business, which I saw bankruptcy. I also owned my own business from 1994 through 2008 when I sold it. Did a stint in the corporate world for about 3 years, and then July 7th of 2011, I started my coaching practice, and I've never looked back. And so some of the questions that have come up are, why are we the experts? Well, if you guys remember 2008, anybody? I'm sure all of you have probably raised your hand right now. And 2008 was a very big struggle for a lot of businesses. And we saw thousands of businesses to go under. And the reason we saw them go under is because they froze. ActionCOACH and our coaching practices has been around for 27 years. We've seen many recessions, and we've practice what we preach. We talk about best practices, and that's what we're here today to do, is talk about best practices in the business. I am blessed to be on calls every day with coaches all over the world who are dealing with this economic crisis, from Australia to New Zealand to Europe, here in the United States. And so we're collaborating together, talking about things that will help you shift and pivot today in your business. So here's some things. I speak freely. Sometimes some things slip out of my mouth. And so if you have a sensitivity meter, I really need you to turn it down. The other thing is we're going to talk in basic terms today. So all of you folks that are highly analytical and very organized, I need you to take a chill pill. It's not all going to be perfect, but I promise at the end of the day today, we have a lot of information we're going to give to you. I'm going to be talking extremely fast to get it all in this hour. But what I need you to do is I need you to listen faster. So let's get rolling. Oh, I see people are already making fun of my Princess Leia headset. That's okay. And for those of you that aren't Star Wars fans, I'm sorry. You'll get it if you ever watch it. So let's jump in and get right to it. Okay. So many of you are faced in your organization with 4 basic questions. How much money do we have in reserve? How long will it last? How much is my burn rate? Day, week, month, year? And most of all, where am I going to find money to take care of it? And we're going to hit on a bunch of those points here. So the other thing about all these workshops and all this information is this: do something, take action, take one thing today. None of this stuff works if you don't. All right, so let's get rolling. All right, communicate. These are very critical right now. When it comes to crisis communications, if we always focus on building a relationship with your customer, fans, and followers, you will always find yourself communicating in the right direction. So your team, what is the communication that you need to give them? How are you communicating with them? Are they fearful, right? So when you're talking to your teammates, it's immediately and imperative that you're giving them facts and not fluff. Your customers, what's your business doing? As we saw earlier this week, the state of Iowa closed all bars and restaurants. So if you're here and you're on a restaurant, or you own a restaurant, we're going to have to pivot and shift, okay? So what's the communication? What are your hours? What are the things you're doing? Other than the basic needs of, yes, we're sanitizing everything. Yes, we're disinfecting everything. Yes, we don't know what's going on here. So those are things that we need to continue to look at. Okay? And yes, to answer that question is yes. At the end of the day today, we will be able to send this all out in a PDF. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. So who are you communicating with? The customers, right? How are you doing it? So you got to be very direct and specific with them because they want to know. Your networks. Well, what does your network mean? Well, is that social networking? Is it your friends? Is it your family? Your network consists of all of those parties, including your accountant, your attorney, you're a bank. you need to make sure that you're getting out in front of this information. There's a lot of special programs that we're going to talk about today. Well, excuse me, we're not going to talk about them today. We're going to point you in the right directions for experts that have to deal with that, whether it's the SBA, whether it's a bank, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's the CDC. And oh, by the way, for those of you that are on this call thinking we're going to talk about the virus and the effects it has on the community, you are on the wrong call. If you have questions like that, I want you to get a hold of your local health professionals. All right, so your network, who are you contacting and how are you being upfront and honest with them? Your suppliers and stakeholders, so yes, that's the board of directors. Yes, your suppliers, how are you taking information? Do you have existing orders on site that you're going to be placing? How are you going to get those slowed down? And look, folks, we're all in this together. We are being proactive to give information like this to you all the time, every day if need be. And why are we doing that? Because you need to know what works and what doesn't work. Because if there's something that we have learned over the last several weeks is this, is the community is far less tolerant for you to test and measure. If you remember 2008, many of those people waited. We're not waiting this time around. We are acting. Your community. I've seen many posts. I saw Stacy. She's been posting over and over again. What are the hours? What are the communications that are going on? Chambers around here, same type of thing. How can they help? Get your information out to the people as best as possible. Number two, critical. Folks, we are leaders. If you're going to have a mental breakdown, which we all are, we all have, and we all will, do it in private. But this is awesome. The Chinese use 2 brush strokes to write the word crisis. One brush stroke stands for danger, the other for opportunity. In crisis, we have to be aware of the danger, but recognize the opportunity. Look, folks, there's lots of opportunity going on right now. Okay, panic and worry never helps. You must make a choice every day. And you can't argue the facts. We can't blame it on religion, race, politics, political stance. We are all in this together. And we have to look for small wins in our business and personal life every hour. And you have to recognize those for the people that are around you. You must be the leader right now. We must be positive. And again, how can I sell toilet paper? We have to look at the silver lining. Today, we're talking about shifting and pivoting. What does your business need to change in order to be successful today? We'll be getting into more of those. Sometimes less news is better. You know, it's interesting. When I sold my business in 2008 and I went to the corporate world, I became rather difficult to talk to and difficult to be around because I was always watching the news. Oh, it didn't matter, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, BBC, NPR, you name it, I listened to it. But I became a product of that. I became the hysteria, the crisis person, looking at it doom and gloom. Okay, sometimes less is better. We need to look for the facts. And by looking for the facts, we can be positive. Yes, I'm watching the news today because I'm very interested in what it's doing, and I can't help if I'm not educated. Lead your people. I know positivity sometimes is hokey, but you can start every sentence with a yes attitude. What do we need to do? How do we need to do it? It's really interesting. We talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction with positive people in a situation like this will draw hundreds of followers. Our job by being positive is to create more leaders, not more followers. Follow me? Love it. Let's keep moving. Step 3. Know your cycles. Spring passes and one remembers one's innocent. Summer passes and one remembers one's exuberance. Autumn passes and one remembers one's reverence. Winter passes and one remembers one's perseverance. We have been cast right back into winter, folks. For those of us that have been in business for a number of years, we know that winter for many of our businesses can be very solitude, but you need to know your cycles. So when you look at all of these areas here, what does your cycle look like in your business? Right? So when you look at a graph or you look at your P&L and balance sheets, you know your good months versus your bad months. Right now, if you haven't figured out what your cycle is, or you don't know what your cycle is, or hey, we should have these sales in this month, or we should have them in this month, you need to start planning, right? So you need to look historically at what are the cycles in my business And what do I need to do? Because guess what, folks? We're going to come out of this. And when we do, those that know their cycles and know their processes will be farther ahead in business because we're planning. We are planning all the time. So again, know your cycles. If you don't know your cycles, get a hold of somebody, your accountant, who can help you, your CPA, your bookkeeper, your action coach, the people that are in your area. Heck, ask a friend who's in business, help me. Because guess what, folks, if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, the most important reason that I'm doing this is because in 2008, I saw my own family's business go into bankruptcy. Why? Because he didn't know how to ask for help. Okay, if one business in your community fails, it's going to be on all of us. And if those people aren't on this call today, shame on them. If they're not asking for help, shame on them. But again, it's up to us together. And you need to know your cycles back to 7 to 10 years. Change. Wow, folks. If you haven't pivoted and shifted in the last 2 weeks, I don't know what to tell you, because we are all in this thing, right? The only constant in life is change, right? So get ahead of it. Part of our process for today has been about plan, don't panic. That's the purpose. Get ahead of it. What are we doing? What are the small incremental steps you need to take today to get ahead of this, right? Nobody foresaw that cities were going to be in quarantine. Nobody saw that they were going to shut down the bars and the restaurants. But if history tells us anything about this, and the countries that have had this, they're being proactive. So what do you need to do? And there are many people that are on this call that own restaurants, and they're struggling the most. But many of it have pivoted. If you look at Chick-fil-A, they were the first one, or maybe not the first, but they came out and they pivoted and they closed their dining rooms. Okay, then what happens 2 days later? Here we go. The governor of Texas closes everything. Same thing in Iowa. Starbucks was another one. So you need to look at your business and what do I need to do to get ahead of it? Lead the change. Okay, you're here today. You are leaders in your organizations. You are leaders in their community. That's what we're doing. We're getting information to those as quickly as possible, right? We're getting those, just like they were doing. Hey, guess what, folks? I know it's a novel thought, but we need to wash our hands. The same thing goes for your business. What do you need to do in your business right now that allows you to change? And this goes everywhere. Operational, people, process, products. What needs to change? Let's talk about the formula for change. So it's really interesting. In the last 2 years, my life has changed dramatically from in-person coaching and my clients to very much virtual. Okay, so I was prepped and ready for virtual conversations. But if you look at this formula for change, here's what it is, okay? D times V plus F is greater than R. So let's talk about R. Resistance. Resistance. Let's even add a word to this. Fear. Right? Every one of us are being affected by this. Clients are quitting, right? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to have enough cash flow. Oh my gosh, they're not going to be able to find us. Oh my gosh, I can't pay my people. We're all in this together. I've had 3 clients since Monday call in and postpone their coaching. Why? Because they are businesses. They're going to see a huge cash crunch. But again, it's the fear that started it. So resistance, what's stopping you from pivoting and changing today? You need to look at that. Is it fear? Is it fear-based? There are 7 sections to fear. If you want more on that, we can talk about it. Now let's look at the F. F is first steps. So for me, first steps was, how do I get as much information out in front of as many people? How do I build a webinar? How do I build process? Well, our first steps were 3 weeks ago, coaches, reaching out to coaches going, okay, this is happening. How do we prep? We started prepping about 3 weeks ago to have conversations with you. What are your first steps? We're right in the middle of it right now. So what are you going to do for your first step? So I would tell you all, you're here today. That's a first step. Now, let's look at V. What's your vision? What do you want your business to look like through this time? What do you want it to look like? What does it look like? What does it look like in 90 days? And then what is your dissatisfaction with right now? Okay. This is going to be some very difficult conversations, but the reality of dissatisfaction is you have to start with the mirror. You have to start looking at the mirror and looking at, what do I, Andy, you, everybody else's name to change? What's my dissatisfaction with myself? So we have to take the dissatisfaction times my vision. And one thing with first steps is add learnings. What have I learned? What am I learning from other people? What am I learning about everything that's going on? So it's greater than the resistance, so I can move forward. How can you move forward? So again, moving forward is critical. So if you need more information like that, give me a call. All of these slides will be available, and we can go through it step by step for you individually. Change, products, services, pricing, deliver, staffing. I have had 7 conversations in this week alone with companies doing layoffs. We will get more into that, but what are we going to do? What do our products look like? How do we change our services? What's our pricing look like? How do we deliver? Can we deliver? What do we need to look at the business for operational systems, processes? What does that look like in your business? What does your time look like? What are you doing as an owner, an operator? And this may be the time where breaking your business is the best thing for your business. And I don't mean bankrupting your business. I mean breaking it, putting everything to the test, making sure that you are prepared for the future. So breaking it, what does that mean? Let's try something completely different. A lot of restaurants, bars, and I keep going back to that one because that's the most evident. Construction company, that's another one that's evident. How do you change the way that we're looking at it to do business different? So when I say break it, break a process. See if you can improve upon it. Cutbacks. This is a hard one because we know in business that you cannot cut your way to profitability long term. But cost cutting has to be the top priority in a crisis. The key is to lower cost intelligently and flexibly, thus minimizing negative long-term repercussions. Okay, so intelligently is the word here, because I've talked to a lot of CPAs and a lot of people that are in the CFO roles, and they want to cut everything. And that's not what we're talking about here. So cash is king. Cutbacks. You must know the difference between your cash flow, a 12-week cash flow, versus cash gap, the difference between when you sell a product, when the money comes in, versus your budget. So cash is king. If you have cash, how do you work that you're spending every dollar as it's your last dollar? But you must know in your business what cash flow versus cash gap versus budget is. And I've got 10 common mistakes that we can talk about at another time about cash flow, cash gap, and budget, and how people get those confused. You need to stop spending. Okay, what does that mean? Stop spending. Okay, so we talk about critical non-essentials, right? What are the things that you need to keep paying so that you can keep your business open? What are the things you need to stop spending on? So maybe it's a bonus program. How about it's no overtime? If you look over my right shoulder here, you can see a mind map on the wall. I know it's a small picture, but it's a mind map. There are over 100 different ways to increase cash flow, profit, and profit margin in your business. Where can you reduce outlays? Okay, so can you get your accounts receivable all in? Can you get your accounts payable down? Can you get your lease payments down? Can you get your rental payments down? Can you renegotiate? We're going to get more into that in a little bit. But where can you reduce your outlays? I'm very happy to say we had several customers earlier this year. We talked about how do we do some different budgeting to help your business grow at this time. And the other thing is if you're on a very heavily payment schedule for debt, how do you get some of that taken back? Or how do you get some of that restructured? Renegotiate now, just what we were just talking about. How do you get them renegotiated? Now is the time. Now is the time you need to be talking to your bankers, your leases, your any of those things in your business. You need to slow things down or postpone. If you're looking at a capital expenditure or you are in the process of hiring, I highly recommend stop it right now. Put a freeze on that for 90 days. Capital expenditures is great structured type of debt, but again, at this moment in time, since none of us know what's going to happen, the idea is to slow it down or to postpone it. Keep marketing and selling. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you have a CFO or an accountant that says you need to slash everything, now is not the time to slash these two areas. Extend credit. This one gets kind of tricky because part of the things that we talk about when you extend credit is a bank is a place where they will lend money if you can prove that you don't need it. Well, banks are still open right now, and banks are extending credit. So for you, get it now while they are still lending. If you have a revolver or you have one that you haven't renewed, you need to go in and talk to them about it. And so what you're looking for, sorry, we got questions coming in as I'm going and I apologize, but what are we doing? Get it now while it's still lending. So get in front of those people. Credit lines and credit cards, that was, we were talking about the revolver. Get those renewed, keep them paid off up till now. And how do we extend? Some businesses are leveraged a lot where this isn't gonna work in your business. And we'll talk about how do we get them money later. But again, you need to decide, do you want to be around long-term or do you want to be around short-term? Yes, personal as well. You need to make sure that you're restructuring all ends of it. Refinance if you have to. That's houses, cars, leases, whatever it is. Find the lowest rates ASAP, okay? And ask for forbearance. I got to tell you right now, when we did this on Tuesday, I had a very good friend who was on the call. He writes for Goldman Sachs, educated all of us. But forbearance is going back to your lenders, leasees, and asking them for forbearance on your upcoming payments, which means you can defer those to the end of the loan. They will not do it if you don't ask, but I've got an article for that we can share later on. But anything you guys need, just remember to ask for it, all right? Staffing cuts and changes. Now, this one's a tough pill to swallow. And again, I've had 7 of these conversations over the last week. So one way to reduce the needs for layoffs would be to cut back on hours, spreading the available work among more employees, okay? Take vacations if possible. If you have people that are there, they want to take a vacation, now is a great time, okay? If you are going to do a layoff of any sort, do it all at one time. If you have to do it. Again, these are difficult conversations, but we have to weigh the long term versus the short term. Do you want to be around in 7 months, or do you want to take care of everybody for the short term? And I know as a business owner, I've got employees, I've had business employees. I went through a receivership where I had to fire 164 people. It's not fun, but we as leaders have to be brave. Sometimes you just have to do it. Pay cuts are an option. You could look at reducing hours to 4-day work weeks and reducing pay to 80%. You could look at, okay, how do we take full-time employees and keep working by having the cuts? Maybe you do a pay cut, but you open a bonus program that allows them to keep their eye on the prize, to keep selling, to keep growing. Okay, or you could suspend bonus programs. Plan to work from home. Most of us are in this phase right now. I'm on a self-isolation. I was on a business trip to New Orleans, which was a very good business trip. But of course, when I came home after being on a plane, I put myself on a 15-day quarantine just to make sure. However, most people where I'm at, we're working from home right now, and this is very difficult for many. Now remember, I've worked from home for the last 9 years, and then 12 years before that. So I had to build routines. The option to work from home when needed or try a different lifestyle without having to change job is a win for everyone, okay? That's the key. Look at what's going on in New Jersey and New York. Look what's going on in San Francisco, Los Angeles, okay? You need to be prepped for all of these things. First, technology. What do you need? I needed a new camera. Okay, I needed to reset up my desk to make sure all of my screens worked. Okay, meeting and reporting. This is critical. We're doing a meeting via Zoom right now. It's a Zoom webinar. It allows us to have 100 people on this call. I have a paid Zoom account. It's $14.99. You can also have a paid Zoom account for $9.99. What does your business need to do in order to help it be successful? There are hundreds of free systems out there right now, but I can promise you right now, when it's free, it's got very limited service. We saw that the other day when a company invited me to a webinar. It was free. It had constant breaks. But for meetings and reporting, what type of performance indicators are you going to put your people on? What do they need to be doing? It's no different than they're in the office, except for they're at home, right? Maybe in their shorts, maybe in their jammies, maybe in their sweatpants. I don't care. But we have to have some sort of reporting, and you need to have constant communications. Customer service, what does that look like? How does your phone roll over to make sure that if people are working from home, that it's still being answered? Who's going to own that task in the job? Because the last thing we want is to lose customers because we're not available. Routines, I can't stress this enough. I live by my routine. 4:30 in the morning, I get out of bed, I do my thing till 7, I start taking calls at 7. What are your people doing? How are you going to educate them? All of us, if you think about it for a second, remember when you guys, or maybe some of you guys still have kids, and I've seen a lot of memes lately about kids and homeschooling and parents and teachers drinking on the jobs, which is their moms. But the idea between that is this: you and I need a routine to be successful. Get up just like you would be going to work. Get in the shower, dress for work. What's your schedule at 8, 9, 10? It empowers the brain. The other side of the routine is you can't expect people to work after hours. We have to give them limitations like, look, you can work, but I don't want to get emails from you at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, which I do for my customers. But again, routines allow us to do that. So have them document what it is they're looking for in their business and what they're doing day by day. It is critical. It will help you find success, and it will help them find success. Another important thing about work: exercise, diet, meditation, sleep, hydration. I can't emphasize this enough. This is about you and yourself. Working from home is a different monster. With this physical distancing going on right now, you need to make sure that you're taking care of you, because I promise there's a lot of you that suffer from ADD, ADHD, BSO, which is bright, shiny objects, where, hey, I think I should go vacuum the floor. Hey, I think I should go over here and do the dishes. Hey, I think I should make the beds. Business hours are business hours, workout or personal hours are personal hours. You have to stay the same, but your schedule needs to be taken care of. We don't know, it could be weeks or months. You need to plan for the worst, hope for the best. Number 9, online or deliveries. All right, man, beginning immediately, CVS Pharmacy will waive delivery fees for prescription drugs due to the coronavirus outbreak. Guess what? There's a funny meme going around where they're using their CVS receipts for toilet paper, okay? But the reality is they nailed it. They nailed it. So, do you need to add a delivery service? You know, can your employees go from being an employee to being a delivery driver for food, like an Uber Eats or a Lyft Eats? What does that look like? Or a Grubhub in your business? Are you taking online or phone delivery services? How is that working? Staffing changes. Again, I just talked about it. Can you make them delivery drivers? Can you ask them to drive? Can you look at what do you need to do? One of the first things I saw over here, I was at a Starbucks. And sorry, Brad, I see you're on the call. Thank you very much for joining us. But what they did is they closed all of their dining rooms. They kept the same number of staff to make sure they could push people through the drive-through as fast as possible. So some of you guys that don't have that, maybe it's curbside delivery. What do you need to do with those staffing changes? Again, thinking out of the box. Again, people won't come to you. You will have to go to them, especially in the elderly. We will have to go to them. Packaging and accounts. Can you actually do different types of packages? If you order this, groceries, you know, I know there's some delivery services that go out there. Maybe you have two different businesses or two different people. How can you wrap those accounts together to help with the online or delivery services? Do you have an app? Can you buy one? Can you get one for your business quickly? All of these areas have to be looked at in your business. Communication with customers. Guys, are you getting the drift about communicating and over communicating? It's interesting to me how people have not wanted to communicate with their customer about what their business is doing because they feel if they're truthful or they're transparent that customers will be fearful and won't come to them. Well, I can promise you, we are seeing over and over again the companies that aren't communicating with their customers are going elsewhere to get those products and services. And if you look at like Amazon right now, Amazon around here had 2-hour delivery, right? Well, they don't have 2-hour delivery anymore. So now they have 2-day or 2.5 days. So can you wait? Do you have to go to the grocery store? Are you doing things last minute? Are you planning for long term? That's when we're talking about online and delivery services. What are we doing today that's going to be effective next week? Marketing. All right, if there's any CPAs on here, I'm sorry, I'm going to offend you with this first one. Here it is. For businesses not to advertise is like winking at a girl in the dark. You get it? You know what you are doing, but no one else does. We must keep marketing. Your business, it's critical now that we keep our name in front of them, okay? The WIFM, right? The radio station, WIIFN, what's in it for me? Every person, including myself, is always looking at what's in it for me. All of you are here looking for that next step that will allow you to be successful with your clients, with your customer. Again, that's why we're talking about it. We must keep marketing, and we must keep it based upon our customers, not our personal thoughts. It's an increase, not a decrease. What has worked in the past? What specials? What things have you done in the past to help your business grow? Start looking for them. Maybe it didn't work once, but maybe we're in such a different era right now that you need to pull it out and say, hey, maybe this will work this time. Create new offers, new rates, okay? When I talk about this, maybe the rates are, you know, how do we get cash up front? How do we do things that will allow us to be more successful? You need to measure your marketing. What are your 5 ways? Okay, many of you don't understand that, but I do. So I'll talk to you really quick. 5 ways is conversion rate. It's leads, conversion rate, number of transactions, average dollar sale, and percentage of margin. Okay, with marketing, we need to look at your conversion rate and your leads. What are we doing? How are we following up? Who, when, and now? Because guess what? Those that don't follow up will not have business. This is not the time to stop talking to them, because the adage right now where only 8% of salespeople continue to market, and that means see their customers or see a prospective customer over 12 times, is very small. We need to stay in front of them, and now is the time to do that. All right, one step you can take now. I wanted to point this out for all of you folks that are in Iowa. Get with your action coach and make your 90-day plan. And I'll take 2 minutes here really quick. For those of you that are around the Sioux City area, there's Linda Cry. For those of you that are in Waterloo and Cedar Falls, we have Heather Marquez. For those of you that are in Cedar Rapids Marketplace, we have David Drulow. Iowa City, Lee Iben. Des Moines, we've got Monty Wyatt and Greg Thompson, and in Omaha, Nebraska area, there is Jim Barger. If you're not near one of those guys, call me. Talking about March 25th, planning day virtually, but you need to do something now. It's get with an action coach or a professional that can help you. So let's keep moving. 11, repeat business. Every contact we make with a customer influences whether or not they'll come back. We have to have a great time or we'll lose them. Existing customers are the best customers. That's right. It's 6 times less expensive to get a repeat customer to do business with us again. Create deals just for them. Make them feel warm and fuzzy. Bulk buys, cash up front. You know, I know not everybody's Costco, but how can we get them, gift cards? I saw that was going around. How do we buy gift cards that can be cash up front that allows an influx of business or cash into your business? We want to keep them at all costs, right? We want to make sure we keep our customers at all costs. Communication is vital. We must communicate these things to our existing customers. Again, you see a common theme here about communicating? 80-20 rule. It's almost perfect in everybody's business. 20% of your cash flow and business comes from 80% of your cash flow comes from 20% of your customers. And it also goes for as 80% of your problems come from 20% of your people. So again, how do we follow this? Number 12, sales, new business. And again, I know I'm talking fast, folks, but we have 25 minutes to get through the rest and then questions and answers so we can keep moving and get you back to work. For a business not to advertise is like winking at a girl, right? We just talked about that, in the dark. So sales, new business. Your competitors, they're not on calls like this. They are frozen. They are doing something other than what they were going to do, right? So when you look at this, who's on a call like this? Communicate often and everywhere. This is the marketing side of it. How are you getting that new business? How are you driving them to them? How are you outperforming your competition? Look at what they're doing and build upon it with them. Again, what's in it for me to your customers? Panic from your competitor. They're focusing on their needs and you're focusing on your customers' needs. You must continue to look at that as an advantageous to your business. Now, I'm not telling you to purposely put somebody out of business, but I promise there are people out there today that you know that will be going out of business. You must measure your 5 ways. Again, new business. This is where your salespeople and everybody in your business is in sales. What are your key performance indicators? How are you going to test and measure this? We can't go at this on hope and a prayer. It is not a plan. It is not sustainable. You must look at how can we measure this every day and get cash up front. Number 13. Now, I know there's many of you that will say that common sense isn't so common, but you're right, it's not common anymore. So let's look at some areas of common sense for a business person. The key to set realistic customer expectation and then not to just meet them, but to exceed them, preferably unexpected and helpful ways. Remember, under promise, over deliver. That's customer service, people. Right now, it's critical. It is absolutely critical that you wow all of your customers. And just for a moment here, let's talk about that. You're going to have people out there that work for you and they're going to get yelled at because other people aren't living in the mindset that we are. Be prepared for that. Clean and don't touch, right? Wash your hands. I never thought that was going to be something we had to repeat this many times, but apparently so. Provide sanitizer, cleaning solution. Your panic is a trigger for others within your organization. When you trigger, do it in private. Call me. I have many clients that call, leave me a voicemail when they're excited or mad or they need to unload. Call me. I will be your person that takes your triggers, all right? Not everyone is like us. Look, folks, if we've learned anything from this pandemic, economic pandemic, is there's not a lot of people like us. We are here to lead others, right? We are here to lead others. It is our duty to help lead the people around us because if we don't, it'll be mass chaos. So be the leader, be brave. And don't buy too much toilet paper, people. I still have yet to figure out what that has to do with it. Compassion. Number 14, in business, this is one of the steps that we're seeing over and over and over again, all right? It's worse for so many others than us. It is worse for so many others than us. Think about it just for a second. Let's say you're at the grocery store, or you have a bar restaurant or a waitress, or you run a dental office that the state has shut you down indefinitely. All of those folks probably didn't follow Dave Ramsey. They probably are living paycheck to paycheck. So when you start to freak out, I want you to look at, there's others in my organization that have it worse than me. We need to practice the 2 golden rules. You guys remember what those were? If you haven't got anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Or my favorite, if you can't be positive, then please be quiet. The second one is treat others like you want to be treated in and around your business. We are all human, folks. I can't tell you this one enough. We are all human. Okay, we're all struggling with something out there. You must be prepared for it. And we must listen. We must not discount other people's feelings because we don't feel the same way. It's amazing. Even though you can't physically distance, you can do an air hug, but how do you make somebody in your organization feel like they've been heard, you understand, and what can you do to help? You need to put people first. We need to put people first, more so now than ever before. And be nice and take a chill pill. I've said a few other words that I can't repeat on here, even with the sensitivity meters down, but people just need to chill out. Okay, we've seen things like this before. Yes, this could kill somebody that you know. That's why we're all practicing physical distancing. Slow down, be calm. I know I am not always calm. For those of you that are on the call here, I get excited with all of you. I am just blessed, and I want you all to know this information. Some things don't change. Okay, this is important to know. The weather doesn't change. Okay, people still eat. Restaurants. Well, when I wrote this, not every restaurant was closed. But look, if you're in a restaurant business right now and you haven't bought takeout containers, get your butt to the store, call your supplier, get that in now. Set up outdoor service, drive-in theaters. I thought it was ingenious. There is a local restaurant here in the Austin area that set up a drive-in theater, set up a sheet on the wall, started running videos, had people to deliver to their cars because it's physical distancing. So they deliver the food to the cars, the folks watch the movie, sound wasn't really great, but it worked out. They developed drive-ins, all right? So their business didn't have one. They developed one. They started it on the curb. Again, change your model. People still eat. Things break. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC, construction, you name it, they're going to break. Cars are still going to break. We're still going to need service on all these areas. So if you're in those businesses, now is the time to shine. Okay? People break. People break. People will break during this. Okay? What are we doing to help them? Number 16, money, money, money. All right, so if you have money, with age comes wisdom. Many of us on this call have seen 2, 3, 4 recessions, right? There's a lot of people that have never seen this before, and that's what's causing the most panic. There are many people that have not had to live through this, which is causing panic. With age comes wisdom. We know this too will end. We just don't know when. So if you have money and you have cash flow in your business, maybe it's time to buy real estate. Maybe it's time to reinvest. Maybe it's time to move money out of the money markets. I had a client 2 weeks ago, saw the market was going to fold, saw some bad things. What he did is he sold. He sold, had a huge influx of cash. Okay, then what did he do? When the market dropped, it was a buying session for him. He has probably doubled his money. So look at ways to reinvest if you can. All right. As we go through this and we come out the backside of it, if you have cash, what other businesses are going to end up for sale? What do those businesses need to be looking for in others? Maybe it's just taking their customers. But if you have money, how can you use it? Right? How can you use it to the advantage of the business? Remember, keep your structured debt. Do not overpay down debt. Remember, use the money wisely and save it right now. And again, if you don't, money is cheap now. How can you borrow money? I know of one client, don't know the legality of this, but he went and borrowed $100,000 and then he did a buy on stock. Don't know. Don't know the answers to that. It's his business, but he's doing whatever he has to do. Money, where to find it. Folks, these are the questions that every business owner is asking himself right now. And if they're not asking themselves this, you need to ask them for it. How much money do you have in reserves? How much does it cost us per month, per week, per day, per hour? If they don't know any of these numbers, your advice or my advice to you is call me, call somebody. We can help you with this. How long will it last? What's our burn rate? How do we save money, right? And how do I replace it? So here's something that I want you to ask all these businesses. Do you create, build, research in your business? Okay, 9 out of 10 businesses qualify, and I have a program that will allow you to find money that you've overpaid that has been in tax increments or tax incentives. So again, let me know on that one, but there are solutions out there to help businesses find money that rightfully belongs to them. Number 18, team. Leverage your team. How can we do more with less? How can we have them split up and conquer? Whose job needs to be supersized right now? Whose job needs to be supersized? Again, communicate, over-communicate. Daily meetings. I highly recommend. Right now with teams, there is no SOP or systemization job description for COVID-19. There are hundreds of crisis programs for tornadoes, hurricanes, active shooters. There's never been one written about a pandemic. Okay, so we need to remember our team doesn't know. They need to be communicated daily. Some of the natural tendencies that they will have will go right out the window because A, they forgot, 2, they don't care, and 3, they're worried about themselves. So what do we need to do to help them? And this goes to that entire, we're working at home. How do we systemize their days so that we know that we're still getting work done? Because believe it or not, work still needs to be done, right? You business owners, you executives that are on this call, you know that the work still has to be completed. And with every problem comes massive opportunity. Leaders have a lot of followers. If you don't lead them, they will follow someone else right off the cliff. Your job as leaders, as I said it in the beginning, is to create more leaders, not more followers. We have to help and guide them. And yes, sometimes our job turns into, we might have to be a marriage counselor. We might have to be a therapist. We might have to be just the shoulder that they cry on from 10 feet away. We need to be there to help them go in the right direction. Create a plan now, folks. Look, on any given day, I can ask 20 business owners. 18 will not have a plan. We will see more bankruptcies from COVID-19 from not planning than we will from the housing financial crisis in 2008. Let me read that again. 18 out of 20 business owners don't plan. Let's get together. Let's plan. Let's look at ways to help your business today, tomorrow, next week. What do we need to do? All areas of your business need to be looked at. Mastery. Mastery breaks into 4 areas. Destination, where are we going? Self-mastery, what are you doing? Financial mastery. It takes more than a P&L and a balance sheet on a yearly basis to get your business done. And delivery mastery. Niche breaks into marketing, sales, predictable cash flow. You know, what's your guarantee? Where are you going? What are your programs? Leverage, systems, processes. You know we can leverage through 4 areas: technology, systems and processes, people and marketing. Team, is everybody on the right seats? Who do we need to move around? How do we plan for that? Operating your business with less revenue needs to be done now. Number 20, learn, plan, act. Look, you have the knowledge already. Many of you folks have been through things like this. Many of you guys have seen things like this. Our business vision statement is, oh my gosh, I just had a brain fart. I apologize, but it's world business re-education, right? That's what we want. We want to re-educate you. You already know the information. You already have the information. How do we bring it back to the forefront? Create an action plan in a few hours. Look, if you don't want to call somebody who can help you, sit down at a table this weekend, this afternoon, take an hour, put it on paper. What are the 10 things you need to do in the next 100 days? If you don't know how to do that, then call somebody. We will help you. There's a lot of us out there that procrastinate. Look, this entire thing threw me into how do I do webinars full time. Okay, it forced my hand because I never put deadlines on it. You need to do things that create it with deadlines. What's your deadline? What's the outcomes you're looking for? And who's going to hold you responsible? Learner now, fact versus fiction. Fact versus fiction. What are you going to do? There's plenty of fiction out there. I hear it all the time. Well, I read it on Facebook, or I read it here. Look, if it's not from you don't go directly to the source. It's like the CDC, right? They are the source for what to do. It's not Facebook, it's the CDC. If it's not them, it's Sarasota County Public Health, your public health department. It's Williamson County and city's public health. What are you doing, fact versus fiction? We're giving fact today, guys. I know there's plenty of people out there that's brother, sister's cousin who's never owned a business is going to give you great advice of how you should run your business with all of your risk at hand. I would say you probably don't want to listen to that. Go to sources. There are sources everywhere. You know, whether it's SBA, whether it's government agencies, whether it's entrepreneurial centers in your area, go talk to them. And leaders, you need to be brave. I have said this over and over today, and I put it in a couple more times after my 7 conversations, which I'll have again over the next couple of weeks. What we're asking business owners to do is very difficult. We're asking them to make decisions based on longevity, and what it does is it hurts. It hurts. Emotionally, it hurts. Physically, it hurts because you're making decisions that will affect other people's livelihoods. But remember this. If you don't act now, your business may not be here in 6 months. You're making decisions right now, so your business is still here in 6 months. Again, talking about laying people off. All right, to finish up, get with your action coach and make a 90-day plan. Okay, call me where I'm having a March 25th virtual program here. Right now, what I would like you guys to do is I'd like you to list 5 areas or 5 ideas that you need to take action on now. And now it's question and answer time. So I'm going to open the question box so I can see it. And here's what I need you guys to do. Let's type it in the box, not in the chat box, but there's a question and answer box at the bottom. Hopefully you're all listing your 5 ideas right now. I see there's 66 participants right now. Love it. Thank you very much for being here. All right, first question is, you betcha. Hey, are you having a panel on nonprofit? Yes, actually I am having a panel on nonprofit, but just remember a lot of the same information that we're talking about will cross into that. I hope that helps. Stacy, we can talk more offline if there's anything specifically you guys need. All right. Hey, there is another virtual online also in Cedar Rapids next Friday, March 27th, by both Lee and David. Kim, 5 ideas I need to take action on today. All right, where are they at? All right, Luann, making a decision to hire a highly skilled professional to take our business to the next level. We see this is a perfect time to pivot. Love it, love it. Way to go. Thank you very much for bringing that forward. Who else needs to hire that person today? Oh, I love this. Make financial plan, knowing our resources are limited. Love it. That's exactly it. So this is part of that test and measuring for all of us here. We need to determine the level of involvement we can have with our members. What does that look like? So again, we talked about many areas there. So virtual, just like this. Are we doing webinars? How are we bringing them forward? You know, what are the things that you need to do in order to keep your involvement and engagement? Because remember, we don't want to lose community. We don't want to lose community amongst anybody. So we need to continue that part of it with the community. Oh, I love it. We're hitting marketing heavy in social media and getting lots of responses and folks coming through the drive-through. Perfect, perfect. Keep it up. Interesting. Ideas for working with corporate offices that don't want local offices to work with local resources. Okay, so Jan, I'm going to need a little bit more in-depth information on that. So if you could give me a little bit more on that. So corporate office that don't want local offices, I just need a little bit more in depth. So Jan, if you're out there, if you could throw a little bit more data, I would be greatly appreciative. Oh, I love it. All right, Stacy, those are wonderful. Oh, great. Yep. Evaluating staff and using unemployment programs. Yep. Stop reacting and acting. That's critical for all of us here. You need to act. Reacting is a bad way to do business. Not to say that it doesn't help, but it might be that way. All right. We have a business that's practicing really lean right now and finding we can do more things through efficiency. Absolutely. Right? That's what we talk about, systems and processes. How are you building a system and process to help your business grow at a time like this? What are the systems and processes you need to do? And you can look back, you know, Kaizen, Six Sigma, you know, all of these areas for lean and building SOPs. But remember, when you build an SOP, you need to look at it as what's right for you. And again, it's technology, systems, and processes make life easier. Identical essentials and non-essential functions. Absolutely. What are those going to be? And how do you make those based upon logic, not emotion? So again, the question was identifying, or the statement was identifying essential and non-essential functions. Right. Remember, this is where emotion gets in the way. Set them up and ask them, you know, how do we do this logically, not emotionally? Because all of those functions can cause an emotional strain on the business. I hope that helps. All right, we have another one here. We're practicing lean. Love it. All right, yes. Terry, excellent statement. Make sure you're keeping in contact with your lender so you can work together. Excellent. Sorry about that. Sherry, love it. Thanks for the input. Yeah, but back to your lender. Look, folks, if you have a business right now and you have a P&L and a balance sheet, you need to make sure that they're seeing that. You need to make sure that you're sharing this information, especially with what it looked like before COVID-19 versus what's happening today with COVID-19. You need to absolutely be in front of your lender and make sure that they can help you through this, because they can't help if they don't know. And they're not very valuable when you come to them in a crisis. So excellent. Thank you, Terry. All right. Okay. All right. So that's right. So, all right. So back to Jan. Okay. So here's what we have. So we have a Facebook group where we can put any food and beverage business can post updates. Okay, so here's what you need to do is remember, if you're in a local segmented area, then the idea behind that is what's best to help you survive. I own a franchise, okay? So one of the things you guys need to remember is I have to follow rules, right? I had to follow some rules to do this today. I have to follow rules all the time. There are rules we have to follow, and then there's rules that we bend a little bit. So to this one, you got to do what's best for you and your constituents without breaking. You don't want to cause so much upheaval that it doesn't allow for success of the individual store or organization. Does that make sense? And again, if you want more specifics on that, you can always give me some information or on the backside of it. Just call me. All right, we got more. Hang on a second. I'm scrolling down here. Questions keep coming. I love it. Keep it up. All right. Love this one. Take virtual tour videos today and put them on Facebook. I love it. Reschedule all events scheduled for March and April and change the dates. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. Call and reach out to potential new clients, residents, and let them know. Yep. Mail out material to potential residents. Absolutely. And again, continue resident activity using social distancing. I find that funny about social distancing. I think it should be more about physical distancing because I can be social from 10 feet, but I just can't be physical, right? Awesome. All right, so keep it up. Love what you're saying here. Keep the questions coming. All right, love this. Create communication and marketing material for product essentials during this crisis. Yes, absolutely. You want to keep that up. And like we were just talking about, there are so many events that are being canceled around the world right now that who knows when we're going to get back in it. But just remember this. People are canceling events not because they don't care, it's because they care more. So that's what we want to emphasize here is all of your organizations, whether it's nonprofit or profit, you need to make sure you're following some protocols that go with it. But again, doing things virtually really does help. And we want to keep that in front of people because now look, maybe it's a class on using virtual. I know I had to teach my parents how to use FaceTime, okay? I had to keep looking at my dad's ear all the time. It's like, Dad, put it down. Well, I can't hardly hear you. Hey, put the speaker on. Maybe that's a class we should do for some of the elderly because he's 80 and he's just trying to talk to me on the phone. So again, create the communication, marketing materials for products essential to business during the crisis. I love that one. Thanks, Carrie. All right. Carl, awesome. To your point, marketing, keep going. Post was the biggest cereal company before a Great Depression. That's right. That's right. They stopped advertising during depression. Kellogg's advertised straight through, and they're still the biggest cereal company today. Love it. Thanks for reiterating that point, Carl. We appreciate it. Look, I appreciate all you guys coming online here today. Look, the fact of the matter is we're doing this because we care. We're doing this as a coaching community because we want everybody to be successful. So here's what I want you guys to do. Look, any more questions coming up here? We don't have any questions coming through. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes. We still have 51 participants on the call. What other questions, you guys? You are very welcome, Brad. It's good to talk to you again. And thanks for the call this week. We'll give it a couple more minutes here. Oh, you guys are all welcome. You guys are all welcome. Please take care of yourself. All right, we got one raised his hand. Hang on a second. I got another question here. Let me just get back over here. Okay, Mark, can you type a question in? Can you still hear me? I am, just a second here. Mark Dix. All right, Mark, Mark, can you hear me? Mark, if you can hear me, I just unmuted you, or I'm trying to unmute you, but you have to unmute yourself. Hey, there you go. Mark, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks, Andy. You did a nice job here today.
Excellent. Any question I can help you with, bud?
It's just a motivating factor in a time of dire need. So that was excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. It's good to talk to you again.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else want to raise their hand? I can take you off mute. Maureen, can you hear me? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Excellent. What can I do for you?
I was just wondering if this presentation is going to be available to us electronically. You might have said it earlier and I missed it.
Yes, actually, this is being recorded right now through all the questions. It's actually on Facebook Live now, and I will put it out there as I'll just need to know if you were part of the chamber, the Clear Lake Chamber, or how you got it, but I can get it to you at any time.
I'm actually the Clinton, Iowa Chamber.
Excellent. Okay, so Maureen, did you write down my email address?
I did. I've got your information.
Perfect. Please send me an email, and when I get this uploaded, I will get it sent out as quick as possible.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else that'd like to come off? Let me go back to the question. All right. Nothing right now. All right. Let's just minimize this one. Does anybody else want to say anything? Awesome. All right, folks, we're going to get off the call right now. But again, my gratitude, my thanks to Stacy and the Clear Lake Chamber and all of those that supported this and all of you that are still on the call. Again, we're here to help. If you're in Iowa and you have a coach that's close to you that I listed off before, please reach out to them. Or if not, you forget, reach out to me and I'll get you their contact information. So love it. That's all for now. Be safe, be smart, and start your plan today.